Hi guys, this is just going to be a little video on how I make my salts. Now the title says ritual salts. I am not going to be making ritual salts, though I am going to tell you how I make them. I wanted to explore all the elements of making salts, at least as far as when I'm making salts, and my ritual salts don't have any color involved. So I'm going to be making an intuition salt in front of you because I feel it's important to discuss all of those steps. And I didn't want to make both because that might get boring for you because it really is pretty simple. So first I'll tell you about my ritual salts and then I'll show you how I make the intuition salts. I personally like to use both Epsom salt and Dead Sea salt when I make my salts. They have a different consistency. And the Dead Sea salts, of course, are of a higher quality. So I like to blend the two together. And so my first step when making the ritual salts would be to add both of those salts to a bowl. And then I would choose my herbs I'd be using and add those in. And I want to kind of go over what herbs I've chosen for that and why. So I'm not going to name all the properties, just the properties that inspired me to use them for my ritual salts. So for the cinnamon sticks, it's spirituality, energy amplification, success, and protection. I sit and I think about everything that I want this to do. So it's a little bit more complex for ritual because not only do I want to be cleansed, I want to be protected. I want to have a connection with whatever it is I'm doing. I also want to have the appropriate energy and everything going in. The cloves I choose for banishing and releasing and cleansing, warding, and protection. The mugwort I choose for banishing, releasing, warding, but also for consecration, heightened awareness, and protection, things that I feel are beneficial during ritual. I have the sage here for cleansing, purification, but also communication, wisdom, and protection. And the rosemary I choose for purification, cleansing, banishing, otherworld connection, blessings, and protection. Now, as I said, I do not use a color in my ritual salts. The color influence wouldn't bring any benefit as far as I'm concerned to the salts, so I don't use any. I do, of course, use oils. And for this one, I use a tea tree oil and an orange oil. These are 100% pure essential oils. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that in order for you to bathe with it. You should really just sort of check around and verify that whatever oil you want to use is okay for use on the skin. Okay, so I choose the tea tree oil because it's cleansing and purifying, and it also has antiviral and antifungal properties, which is just an extra bonus. But for me, it's a very cleansing, purifying oil. And then orange, same reason, purification. And I could have used, eucalyptus and others, but I wanted to also have a nice fragrance. Okay, so I've gotten set up for the intuition salts. Now, I did mention with the last salts about the oils being compatible, being safe to bathe in, but I didn't talk about the herbs. The herbs also need to be bath safe. There are some herbs that you should not bathe in, so do your research on that as well. So first I add my salts. I'll add a bit of the Epsom salt. And then some of the Dead Sea spa salt. And I typically get the Dead Sea spa salt online. And I like to mix them together. I have used rock salt in the past as well. It's just whatever. I just don't like to just do Epsom salt. So now typically my process is the salts, the herbs, the oils, the color last. And of course, I'm putting my intent into that the whole time. And when I'm done, I feed them other energies. It's sort of a hybrid of Reiki, but whatever process you use, it's fine. The reason I said the order I would go in is because I want to make a point about the color. When I first started making bath salts, I was probably 19 years old and I was not doing anything spiritual or witchy with it at all at that point. They were just bath salts. I just used food coloring. That's fine. You can absolutely use food coloring in your bath salts. But since I started making quote unquote spiritual bath salts, I branched out into soap dye. So these, I get them online or at Michael's, and I have like 3 different kinds, but they're pretty inexpensive and they are designed to dye soap. So they are safe to be used on the skin. I also get a much wider variety of color choices. I have seafoam and peach and all these beautiful colors that I couldn't easily get with food coloring. I always like my salts to be somewhat pale. I mean, they may even be a little vivid, but not super saturated. I don't do super saturated salts. It's fine if you want to. If you want a very deep, vivid color though, I suggest that you take, whether it's your food color, your soap dye, whatever it is, and add it to your salts first. Like this would take a very long time in this container. So I'd want to put it maybe on a cookie sheet and allow it to air dry for however long it takes for it to dry. Because when you completely saturate them with the liquid color, they are wet. And if you put them in a sealed container wet, they will stay wet. So you need to allow time for them to dry out. So if you're going to do deep color, do the color first, allow it 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, however long it takes for the salts to dry. Then go back and add all of your other ingredients and then put it in whatever packaging you intend to keep it in. So for me, next is my herbs. And what herbs have I chosen and why? So for this bath blend, I've chosen mugwort once again, though this time I chose it for its psychic powers, for prophetic dreams, for heightened awareness, divination, and protection. Next, I chose lavender, which I chose for psychic powers, visions, dream work, otherworld connection, for spirit contact and protection. And then I chose jasmine, just to have another little pop of color and psychic dreams and protection. And then I chose wisteria because I love wisteria. It's great for psychic powers, channeling, wisdom, and protection. And lastly, I chose yarrow. And I chose the yarrow for psychic powers, divination, dream work, communication, guidance, and protection. So come in. And for me, I want there to be a good amount of herbs mixed in with the salts, but it's also about the energy that they bring. And these are all pretty subtle energies. So, you know, I don't fear going overboard necessarily with any of them in particular. The jasmine might be a little bit more. Sorry, I'm going quiet because I am also putting my intention in at the same time. But I can multitask. And plus I can hit it up with an extra shot after the video. And then I will mix them up and see if I like the way it looks, see if I like the way it feels, and I'm okay with this. Let me see if I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks for sure. Want some more lavender. But it feels good. Maybe a little more mugwort. I don't know. Hold on. Sorry, guys. This is, you know, how witches who don't use recipes roll. Yeah, I think a little more mugwort. And for those of you who aren't super used to working, oh, that feels so good, aren't super used to working with herbs, use your intuition. Absolutely trust your gut. And the more you work with them, the more you'll develop this rapport with them. And they will, I'm going to say talk to you, but of course it's not really talking, but it's a communication of sorts. When it's right, it feels right. When it's not right, it doesn't feel right. And you can kind of tap into which herb you need more of or what have you. Just definitely go with your gut. Trust yourself. Okay, so we're ready for the next step. And the next step is oils. And these are not 100%, so I won't use them for everything, but I love sunset oils. They smell so good. So when I make lotions and stuff, a lot of times I use them because they just smell amazing. And I've gotten kind of a gauge of, depending on the proportion of salts, how much oil I need to use. Did I go over my oils? I didn't go over my oils. So let me do it now. Okay, I chose sandalwood and rose. I chose rose oil for the properties of psychic awareness, divination, and protection. And I chose the sandalwood for the properties of intuition, spirit contact, spirituality, and protection. Okay, so I'm going to mix them all in, and I can smell it from here. It smells amazing. I love combining rose oil with sandalwood or frankincense oil. It smells so good. Sometimes rosemary too. All right, I needed some more sandalwood to even it out and give it the fragrance that I wanted. All I could really smell was rose. Oh my God, so good. So I'm good with that. I could make it stronger if I wanted to, but I'm okay with it, especially since it's a small amount of salts. So there won't be months and months of storage required. Next is color. I just put in 5 drops to start, and I take my spoon and sort of work it around to get the color going in. Now I want this salt to be an indigo color because indigo is, of course, the color that resonates with the third eye, thus intuition, psychic abilities, that sort of thing. I'm starting out with a blue because I don't have an indigo. I have purple and I have blue, but I don't have an indigo, so I'm going to make one myself. I've got the red and the blue, and I've got a lilac out in case I want to go that way. I think I'm just going to add a couple drops of red and see what happens. This is fun. I love this part of making bath salts. You just kind of play with the colors until you get what you're looking for. I love, love, love making my chakra salts because I get to do all the colors of the rainbow while making them because they match all the chakra points. And like you see this little thing on my bowl here, don't worry about that. That will wipe right out when I'm done. I don't even have to get it wet. It'll just come right out. It's fine. Okay. That clearly wasn't enough red. We need to put a little bit more red in to get an indigo color. And actually, I think I'm gonna go with the lavender this time, since it's already in the purple vein, and see what happens. I will also say that when you're bathing with your salts, because they have all these little herbies in them, some people get annoyed by that. What you can do is take one of those little mesh bags, like this for instance, and fill it with your salts and throw it in the tub, and it'll keep all the herbs inside of it, like a tea bag. And the salts will melt down and you'll get the benefit of it, but you won't have to clean up the mess. Okay, that is much more indigo than blue, like when it first started. And like I said, if you want it really vivid, go for it. But it's gonna take you several days to make your salts, which is fine. Next, I would put this in a pretty little bottle or a jar or whatever I have handy. Charge it with my Platinum Reiki, and then use it in the tub. Next time I want to sit and meditate in the tub and tap into my intuition, I'll throw some in. So it's really simple, easy thing to do. Also, you don't have to make salts for just a spiritual purpose. My husband has a special blend that's for muscle aches and pain. And I use eucalyptus and just different ingredients that I come at it from both a spiritual standpoint and a mundane physical standpoint, of course, because that's just how I am. But you can make salts for any number of things and get creative. Salts are a nice thing to have on hand and they're easy to make. So I just wanted to share. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening to me yammer on about things I love as usual. And until next time, much love and gratitude.